After completing my 10th class exams in 1979, my father suggested that I go and help my father's uncle and learns astrology. Mathematics being my favorite subject, I learned the calculations. My grandfather taught me how to calculate the inclinations of each planet and how to calculate the lagna and the meridian center MC, and he gave me some birth charts to draw. Thus, I learned how to draw the birth charts first and showed interest in predictions. So, my grandfather told me some predictions, some of the tips that he usually uses for predictions. And after learning those tips, I documented some of them. I verified with my father. While my father and my grandfather have laid the foundation for me to get interested in astrology, for almost a decade or 2 decades, I didn't show any interest. Welcome to my new series, horoscopes of the month. In this series, I'm going to present one horoscope for each month, and the native who was born in that month, a famous person. I'll pick that person horoscope and then try to analyze the natives, some of the past events, and analyze it using some of the astrological techniques that I learned. Hope you will enjoy this video presentation, and please feel free to comment if you know any person. Please let me know the person birth details and the Wikipedia link. I will go in detail, do some research and figure it out. If that person is the right person that fits my choice, then I will surely include that person in my horoscope of the month series. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation. Welcome to Shastrika's Astrological series. In this presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the information that is provided in one of the books, astrological books published in India. The title is called Gochar Phaladeepika, and it was written by Dr. U.S. Pulipani. And in that textbook, the author has explained about the Masa Dasa Falita. That means Masa means month, every month. Dasa Falita, what is the astrological predictions of how that period will go in that particular month. This Masa Dasa Falita is basically uses the Hindu calendar, and it takes the first day of the Hindu calendar, the first day of that month, where is the transit moon residing, in which nakshatra is the transit moon residing, and based on that nakshatra and then comparing with the Janma Rasi for a native, then you can predict the next 30 days what might happen based on the Janma nakshatra and the first nakshatra in that particular month. And then there is a way which planet, for how long is that planet going to be in that 30-day period. All this information is available in the textbook, and I'm using that textbook, the contents in that textbook, as my baseline. And here I am trying to explain with an example how to use that information to predict the monthly analysis as monthly predictions for any particular native. Keep in mind, if you want to use this technique, what we need is the Janma Rasi of that particular native, and you have to use exclusively the Hindu calendar. Right now in the year 2021, starting 1st January 2021 for 30th until 30th of January, it is Pausya Masamu or PA Pausyama month, and the Hemant Rutu is running over there. And then from 31st January till 28th of February, till the end of February, it will be Magha Masamu. And so in the Pausya Masamu, the first day, that is on January 1st, the nakshatra is Punarvasu. In Magha Masamu, the first day, that is on 31st of January, the nakshatra is Magha. So I am taking these two nakshatras and then taking the natives Janma Rasi. Here the native is the famous South Indian actor Rana Daggubati. His Janma nakshatra is also Magha. So from Punarvasu, in the month of January, I am counting the number of stars bit from Magha to Punarvasu. So Punarvasu comes and Magha comes later. So you have to make the full circle. So that will be approximately 23 or 24 nakshatras from between Magha and Punarvasu. And then since Magha is his Janmarasi and the first month on 31st January is again Magha, then we take it as only one. We don't take 0. So all that calculation explanations is in the textbook, and here I am just using the data and the theoretical information that is available in that textbook. I am trying to reiterate it using two examples. The first example that I am going to use is the birth chart of Rana Daggubati. So this is the birth chart of Rana Daggubati from the Chandra Lagna. Since we are doing the transit analysis for January and February of 2021, we have to consider the birth chart, D1 chart from Chandra Lagna. That means wherever the natal moon is positioned, you consider that to be the first house. And what you can see here in his birth chart, let's start looking at the natal planet aspects. Ownership. Natal planets. Mars is owning from Chandra Lagna. Mars owns the 4th house and it is residing in the 6th house. Saturn owns the 6th and 7th house and is residing in the 3rd house. Jupiter owns the 5th and 8th houses and it is residing in its own house, the 5th house. Mercury owns the 2nd house and it's residing in the 4th house. And Moon itself is the 12th house lord, residing in the 1st house. That's the house planets that owns the house from Chandra Lagna. And what you can see from here is natal Saturn is exalted. That means the 6th and 7th house lord Saturn is exalted. That's the first thing. Second thing is Saturn gets exalted in Libra. Libra is the house that is owned by Venus. So natal Venus is residing in Capricorn. That indicates that there is a Parivartana Yoga between Saturn and Venus. In other words, the 3rd and 10th house lord Venus is having a Parivartana Yoga with the 6th and the 7th house lord Saturn. And then let's go and look at the important aspects for these natal planets. We'll start with Mars. Mars direct aspect is on the 12th house, that is the 7th aspect, and Mars 8th aspect is on the 1st house, where the 12th house lord Moon is residing. So a violent planet is looking at both the 12th house, the 1st house, and also the 12th house lord. This is very important to keep in mind. The next one is Rahu. Rahu, both natal and transit Rahu are right now in Taurus. That means in the month of January and February of 2021, they will be in Taurus. Transit Rahu will be in Taurus. So it co-join with natal Rahu there in the 10th house. That means natal and transit Rahu is having a direct aspect on the 4th house. 4th house is Sukhasthanamo or home life environment and mother too, native's mother. And Rahu, both natal and transit Rahu is looking at the 4th house, indicates that there will be some sort of a disturbances in the related to the 4th house, the bhava of the 4th house, which is Sukhasthanamo, home life environment, or mother. And the another thing is there in the 4th house, you see the 1st house lord Sun is residing there. So that disturbances in home life environment will be pertaining directly to the native. It will have a direct impact to the native, and the native's mother will, anything happens to native's mother will have an impact on the native too. The next one is Mercury. Mercury is the second house lord here. Second house deals with Marakasthanamo. So a Marakasthanadipati Mercury and Lagnadipati Sun, they both are residing in Sukhasthanamo and having a direct aspect from natal and transit Rahu. This is the second, another thing that we have to keep in mind in this particular native's chart. The third planet is Saturn. Saturn's third aspect is on the fifth house. So that means an exalted sixth and seventh house lord Saturn is looking at the eighth house lord Jupiter. Next, Saturn's 10th aspect is on the 12th house. 12th house deals with unexpected expenditures, hospitalizations, foreign travel. And already Mars is the fourth house lord. Mars is already looking at the 12th house. Now the 6th and 7th house lord Saturn is also looking at the 10th house, and if you look at it, the Mars is now residing in the 6th house and looking at the 12th house, and the 6th house is owned by Saturn. So there is a strong relationship within Saturn and Mars, and which is in resulting into 6th and 12th house relationship. So this is the overall picture of the chart from Chandra Lagna. Since we had gone through the transit for the month of January and February, the planets, and this is not even the transit, we don't even know where the transit planets are there at this point. So we're just looking from Chandra Lagna how the chart will be. And let me go and look at the Vimsottari Dasa. If Vimsottari Dasa for the month of January and February of 2021, if you look at it, the in Vimsottari Mahadasa, the Mahadasa is Moon Mahadasa, Venus Antaradasa, and then probably it will be the Moon Pratintaradasa and Mars Pratintaradasa will be the ones in the month of January and February. So we know that Moon, the 12th house lord, is residing in the first house from Chandra Lagna. Moon is the 12th house lord. 12th house deals with unexpected expenditures, hospitalizations, foreign travels, and Moon is also called Matrukaraka, so anything, something related to the native's mother. And then comes Venus. Venus is in the 6th house, Rogasthanamo, having a direct aspect on the 12th house, that is the house owned by Moon. And if you look at it, there is a Parvartana Yoga between Saturn and Venus. That's another thing we have to keep in mind. And then comes the Pratyantara for Moon, we already told it. So Mars, I already explained to you about the Mars, how the relationship between Mars, Saturn, Venus, and then the 12th house, and you can, and the first house for Mars, exclusively the 12th house Lord Moon. So this whole relationship tells from Chandra Lagna that in the month of January and February, the native, whatever the native's life will be directly related to self, that is the first house being the first house, home life, environment, Sukhasthanamo, and then mother, because it is the fourth house deals with mother, and Moon also deals with mother, and then the sixth house, which is the Rogasthanamo, debts, illness, employment conditions, and sixth house also deals with separation from family members or separation from spouse, and sixth house also deals with short-term travel. Seventh house deals with short-term travels. Okay, and from sixth you go to the 12th house, that is the unexpected expenditures, hospitalization, and foreign travels. So there's this much is what, so the possibility for this particular native to have anything in this environment in the list of the stuff that I said just now is there in the month of January and February of 2021. Before starting analyzing the Dasafalita, for the Masa Dasafalita, I would prefer to first to look at the Bihuru Chakra Paddhati, and from a 10,000 feet altitude, how is this particular natives for the whole period, for whole 1 year. According to Bihuru Chakra Paddhati, the native's birth 36th completed his 36th birthday on 5th December 2020. So the Masa Dasafalita for January and February 2021 will fall under this, in this era, this time. So at this time, what according to Bihuru Chakra Paddhati, Sun is the ruler, and the first house it activates the first house from Rashi Lagna and the first house from natal position. So if you look at the Lagna, Rashi Lagna, the Capricorn is the Rashi Lagna, that's where Mars and Venus are residing. So Sun Sun is the 8th house lord. So the 8th house lord is activating the first house, which is the self. I'm sure. So it is something that is not a good sign. Whenever the 8th house lord activates the first house or the second, 7th, 8th, 6th and 12th houses, it's not a good sign. So now here it is, the sun is activating the 8th house. The 8th house lord is activating the first house. When it activates the first house, what you can see is the 4th house lord Mars is residing there, and the 10th, 5th and 10th house lords Venus is residing there, and Mars and Venus are having a direct aspect on the 7th house, which is the Marakasthanamu, and Mars is having the 8th aspect on the 8th house. Using the 8th aspect, Mars is having the 8th aspect on the 8th house, where the 7th house lord Moon is also residing. Just like when the way I explained in the from the Chandra Lagna, even from Rashi Lagna, according to Bihuruga Chakra Paddhati, also the important houses that will have an impact for this particular native during this 1 year, December 2020 to December 2021, is by default the first house, the 7th house, the 8th house, and since Mars is the 4th house lord, 4th house deals with Sukhasthanamu, home life, environment and mother. So there's something from that in that arena, and since Moon also considers to be the mother for the native, and it is the 12th, it is the 7th house lord residing in the 8th house also. So even the mother will also needs something related to the mother is also possible. So this many things are possible even from the Bihuruga Chakra Paddhati. So what we can conclude, at least what I can say, is that from Chandra Lagna, if I analyze the chart from Chandra Lagna, and then if I come to Bihuruga Chakra Paddhati and analyze the chart according to Bihuruga Chakra Paddhati from using the Rasi Lagna, the conclusion is almost the same. So this tells you that from once in the both the ways, once the conclusion is close in both the ways, whether it is from the Rashi Lagna or the Chandra Lagna, that's when you go to Masa Dasa Phalita and then start looking at on a monthly basis in that 1 year, according to Hindu calendar, pick whichever the month it is that is needed, and then using that month do the Masa Dasa Phalita. Now let me start exactly the Masa Dasa Phalita analysis. First of all, the Hindu calendar, starting 1st January 2020, 2021 Gregorian calendar. It's 2021 Gregorian calendar. The Vedic Rutu is Hemanta Rutu. The month is Pausyama, and then the Vikrama Samvatsara is 2077, and then on 1st January 2021, the nakshatra where the moon is residing is Punarvasu, and the Janma nakshatra for this particular native is Magha. So what we have to do is we have to find out how many planets, how many nakshatras are there between Magha and Punarvasu. If you look at it, if you start from Ashwini and go all the way down, Punarvasu comes first and then comes Magha. So you have to from Magha you have to count all the way till the end Rohini, and then again start with Ashwini and then go all the way until Punarvasu. So it's approximately 24 months is what 24 nakshatras is what I got it, and then the calculations is in the textbook. Based on that calculations, I generated this spreadsheet where you can see it in the 30-day period, and that is in Pausyamasamu. In that 30-day period, which planets are going to be active and for how many days will it be active. So let me just reiterate here. On 1st January till 3rd January, moon will be active. And from Chandra Lagna, keep in mind, since we are talking about the nakshatra and transit moon and the planets or the transit planets, what we need to do is to consider only the Chandra Lagna. So from Chandra Lagna, moon is the first house lord. First is residing in the first house and is the 12th house lord. 12th house deals with unexpected expenditures, hospitalizations and foreign travels. That's something that relates to happens between 1st and 3rd of January. And then from moon is residing in the first house. The 12th house lord is residing in the first house. It's going to have a direct aspect on the 7th house. 7th house is Marakasthanamu and also short term travels, and 7th house is also talks about the spouse. So the 12th house lord residing in the first house and having a direct aspect on the 7th house. That's the first. So from astrological perspective, what is possible to happen is this: the first 12th house lord residing in the first house and having a direct aspect on the 7th house. That's the first part. That tells you that anything pertaining to the 12th house bhava and the two in the first house, because moon is residing in the first house, that is the self. So anything related to the 12th house bhava for the self will happen, or to the native's spouse. So we have to wait to see what exactly might happen there. And the next is from 3rd January till 8th January is Saturn. Saturn is the 6th and 7th house lord from Chandra Lagna, and Saturn is in the 3rd house exalted, and as I said earlier, Saturn's 3rd aspect is on the 8th house and Saturn's 10th aspect is in the 12th house. And since he owes the Rogasthanamo 6th house and 7th house is Marakasthanamo, and he's having a 3rd aspect on the Mrityusthanadipati Jupiter, and it's the 10th aspect on the 12th house, which is the hospitalization. So we can guess what can happen at that point. So 8th January till 13th January is Venus. That is the period where the native will have some sort of a break from whatever has happened from 1st January till 8th of January. And then from 13th January to 15th January is Mars. This is this is Mars. I already explained earlier a lot about it. So Mars is in the 6th house, owning the 4th house and having an aspect of the 12th house and the 1st house, where the 12th house lord moon is residing. So as I said earlier, something whatever I said earlier, you can there's some that event or can get activated during this period, which is 13th January to 15th January. This is the next one, is very crucial. 15th January to 17th January, that is when transit sun is going to be in Capricorn, and if I remember correctly, that is the first time we are going to have Panchagraha Kutami. 5 transit planets are going to stay in Capricorn, which is the first 6th house for this particular native, and the 5 planets are transit Saturn, transit Jupiter, transit Sun, transit Mercury. I forgot what is the 5th. I think it is transit moon or transit Mars. One of that is going to moon only. Mars cannot be there because Mars is in Pisces, which is the 8th house. So between 15th and 17th January is very crucial for this particular native when it comes to native's health. And again from 17th to 22nd January, whatever happened in 15th and 17th January, you will see the outcome of that in 17th and 22nd January, and whatever happened in 15th and 17th of January, that will create some sort of a disturbances in home life environment, that you can see it from 22nd January till 27th of January. And then comes the important thing, is from 27th January to 30th January. This is the most important, second important. The first important is 15th January to 17th January. The next important is 27th January to 30th January, when Jupiter, the 8th house lord, is going to take the control of the Dasafalita for the monthly in that month. So overall, in my opinion, 15th to 17th January and 27th to 30th January are red marks for this particular native, and those red marks, the event, whatever the reason for that, the precursor for these red marks is either from 3rd to 8th January or 13th to 15th January. So overall from 3rd to 15th January is something that event happens, gets initiated, and then 15th to 17th January the event gets amplified, and 27th to 30th January the amplified event continues, and the impact is what the native is going to see from there or by then already. So let me go and look at the second Masa Falita that I want to talk about, which is the Magha Masamu. The Magha Masa Magha month starts from 31st January 2021 and ends on 28th February 2021, and the Vikrama Samvatsara is 2077, and it is the Hemanta Rutuvu. And the nakshatra on 31st January 2021 is Magha only. Look at it, the native Janma nakshatra is Magha, and the nakshatra, the first month of that Magha Masamu nakshatra is also Magha. That means the Janma nakshatra. So the month, the second month, the Magha Masamu for this particular native is starting with the Janma nakshatra only. That's a red flag that I would like to raise at this point. And then let's start doing the same mathematics that was explained in the textbook. I'm not going to repeat it here, so you can refer to the textbook, to that book, and then figure it out how I got these numbers. So from 31st January, that's when the Magha Masamu starts, till February, that is approximately 3 days, Sun is the ruler. Remember, from 27th until 27th to 30th of January, I said it was the Jupiter who was running, and Jupiter is the 8th house lord, and now here Sun is the ruler. Sun is the one who controls the 3 days of the time, and Sun is the Lagnadipati from Chandra Lagna, residing in the 4th house, having a direct aspect from Natal and transits Rahu. So the 4th of home life environment that might have got disturbed in the month of January will again get redisturbed redisturbed again in the month of from January 31st to 2nd of February. 2nd February to 7th February is Mercury. Mercury is the 2nd house lord a little bit, and residing in the 4th house and getting a direct aspect from Natal and transit Rahu. So 2nd house is Markasthanamu, residing in the Sukhasthanamu, or the 4th house. 4th house sometimes deals with mother too. And then the 7th February till 12th February is Rahu. Rahu is having a direct aspect on the 4th house. Then 12th February to 15th February is Jupiter. Jupiter is the 8th house lord. If I remember correctly, the Sashtagraha Kutami is between 7th February to 12th February. That means there are 6 planets that are going to be in Capricorn between 7th and 12th of February. And again, that is in Capricorn. That is the Sashtagraha Kutami that is going to happen here, which is going to have a major impact on this particular native. I already explained in the horoscope of the month for this particular native. And then again, that impact, whatever happened from 7th to 12th, will be continued from 12th to 15th of February. And then all the way till 19th of February, the native will get some mental break. But from 19th to 24th February, again it gets repeated again. So overall, in the month of Magha Masamu, January 31st to 2nd of February, 7th February to 12th February, 12th February to 15th February, and again February 19th to February 24th. These are the 4 times that the native's life will be a little bit disturbed and chaotic for one way or the other, and which will be highly visible to whoever is close to the particular native.